Welcome to the MEMONEET Bacho. Myself, Pratik, I'm your biology SME. And I hope your Brahmastra test series 4 went really very well, right? So, what all we have discussed in the previous chapters or previous videos, lecture videos were one is obviously about the plant kingdom, and another one is about animal kingdom. So, here, see, what we are doing is we are just going with the flow. So, after knowing the living world, like how the living world is and what are the living world and all. So then we have concentrated on the second thing, that is biological classification. Then we have concentrated on sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Then we have tried to analyze and study the entire plant kingdom and later on the animal kingdom, right? And now we are in a mode where we are very curious to know how exactly reproduction that normally occurs, especially specifically in the humans. So that's what this chapter comes. Again, it's a very weightage chapter and very important chapter in both competitive theory aspects also and in future aspects also if you pursue your NEET medical. So yeah, coming to the human reproduction. What do you mean by human reproduction? Basically, we are very aware that in human beings, it normally goes with the sexual reproduction, right? So we don't lay egg, basically. So that means what mode of reproduction we go through the sexual mode of reproduction. So and you know that there are two mode of reproduction that I have already explained and defined them in the previous, animal kingdom. So one is oviparous and the another one is viviparous. Right. So when I'm talking about the viviparous, it is the sexual mode of reproduction. And oviparous is also a sexual mode of reproduction, but there you are laying egg. So animals, they normally lay egg and development becomes external. So whereas in viviparous, animals, they don't lay egg, whereas your development, everything, so will be internal itself inside the mother womb. So that is all about the viviparous animals. And when I'm talking about the human reproduction, so their event called as formation of gametes takes place. Formation of gametes takes place, right? So that is one is the in male you will see the production of sperm, and in female you will see the production of yes ovum. So you are clear that there is a gametes formation normally happens in human beings. And in human being, like we have two sexes, that is male and female. In male, gamete is the sperm production, and the female gametes is ovum production. So then what happens? There is a transfer of this sperm to the female vaginal tract, and there it gets fused with the ovum, and later on fertilization happens, and fusion, and so fertilization leads to the formation of zygote development, right? So zygote leads to the blastulation. It is nothing but blastocyst formation, and they get attached to the uteral wall, and that is called as implantation, and gestation period, everything happens. Finally parturition, that is the baby is ready for the development. So these all remarks, okay, together we normally call it as reproduction. So in this unit, let us discuss one by one what are the events, steps, and how normally this reproduction, development, everything happens. So what all the things that we will be concentrating in this chapter is, so what is male reproductive system and its part, its function, and the female reproductive system. Then we also concentrate on the gametes formation, that is gametogenesis, where both male as well as female, one is spermatogenesis and oogenesis, both we are going to discuss. And the very important event that happens, that is menstrual cycle. Where does menstrual cycle normally happens? Inside the female, right? That means female normally they undergo this period. which is called as menstrual cycle. In detail, what is menstrual cycle and what is the important role in the reproduction, that thing we are going to discuss. Then how the fertilization will happen, and implantation is nothing but attachment. So what is this implantation? Everything we are going to discuss. Then the next one is pregnancy and embryonic development, where the last one is parturition and lactation period, that is delivery of the baby and breastfeeding. So these all things we are going to study in detail. So without delaying the time, let us move to the male reproductive system. So this is the male reproductive system. See, the male reproductive system is actually located in the pelvic region, located in pelvic region. Okay. So what all the things it includes? It includes a pair of testes. Then along with that, you will also find the accessory ducts, glands, and external genitalia. So these are the things you will find in the male reproductive system. One is where they are located in the pelvic region. Then you will find a pair of testes. So they are called as testes. You will find two testes, that is a pair of testes. Then you will also find the accessory duct. After accessory duct, you will also find some of the glands which are responsible for the maintenance of this male reproductive system. Then also you will find the external genitalia. Okay, so these are the uh, these are the parts which are included in the male reproductive system. So now let us learn one by one. Okay, I'll just try to learn them in detail so that there is no more confusions. Cool. See, when coming to the testis, as you can see where the testis is situated, they are normally situated in the abdominal cavity. So yes, testes are situated in the abdominal cavity. Okay, so where abdominal cavity, within the pouch-like structure called as scrotum. Okay, so first point is testis is situated outside the abdominal cavity. So within a pouch-like structure, which is actually called as scrotum. This is your very first thing that you need to understand. Then why scrotum? Why this testis is actually located in scrotum? Since they are outside, they are located outside the abdominal cavity. So this scrotum, the major function of the scrotum is it helps in maintenance of the temperature. Maintenance of the temperature. Okay, this is one point. So what is the exact temperature? It maintains a very low temperature, or it maintains a very normal range of temperature which is favorable for the testis. So here the temperature will be around 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius, lower than the normal body temperature. Usual normal body temperature. So now you need to say me what is the usual normal body temperature of a human being. So if you know it, comment your answer in the message box so that let us see who is going to answer it. Okay. See, basically what happens is to maintain a proper temperature. So the temperature is lower than that of the body normal temperature. So what is the temperature it is going to maintain? The scrotum is going to maintain. it is around 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius of temperature it is going to maintain. So this temperature is actually necessary for the spermatogenesis process. Okay, so this temperature is very necessary for the spermatogenesis process. Spermatogenesis process matlab the formation of the male gamete, that is sperms formation. So for this production or for this process, this 2.2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius is necessary, or it is being maintained by whom? It is actually by the scrotum. So this is clear. And what is the length of the testis, size of the testis? So in adult, when I'm talking about in the adult, it is usually it is oval in shape. Okay, it is usually oval in shape. This is very important point. And coming to the length, it is about 4 to 5 centimeter in length. So it is all about the length. It is 4 to 5 centimeter in length. And when I'm talking about the width, so you know the length and width concept, right? So yeah, so when it is all about the width, it is of 2 to 3 centimeter in width. Okay. So the testis is covered by a, that is what I have told you, densely covered, which is actually called as scrotum. And in the testis, inside the testis again, you will actually see some compartments. Okay. So you will see some of the compartments you will see. So that is, each testis will have around 250 compartments. Compartments matlab room, so where this entire process happens. So if you consider one testis, we have pair of testis, that is two. In one testis you will find around 250 compartments will be there. And together these 250 compartments together, we call them as testicular. So testicular lobules. Okay, so together we normally call them as testicular lobules. So this is all about your testis. Okay, so what all we have discussed in this testis part. So testis, where they are situated, they are basically situated outside the abdominal cavity. So which are within a pouch that is called as scrotum. This thing we have discussed. Then scrotum, it normally helps to maintain the temperature, which is 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius, which is lower than that of the normal body temperature. So Q, this temperature is very important because for the for the it helps in the smoothing process of the spermatogenesis. Then coming to their size and length, everything. So they are normally in adult testis, it is oval in shape. The length is around 4 to 5 centimeter. Width is around 2 to 3 centimeter. And inside the testis, in one single testis, you will see around 250 compartments where the spermatogenesis normally takes place. And these 250 compartments together is actually called as testicular lobules. So this is clear about the testis and its everything. We'll move to the next then. Cool. So moving to the next, that is again in detailed discussion. And when I talked about 250 compartments were there, right? So in each and together, we normally call it as testicular lobules, right? So and each lobules, now each lobules contains three highly coiled seminiferous tubules. Okay. So what are there? See, So one thing I told you, like 250 compartments are there. Together they are called as testicular lobules. And each lobules, okay, each lobules contains three highly coiled, what you will find, seminiferous tubules. Okay, so they're somewhat like this. They're highly coiled seminiferous, coiled seminiferous tubules. So what is the seminiferous tubules? Seminiferous tubules are the location or a place exactly where this sperm are produced. Okay, seminiferous tubules. Inside the seminiferous tubules, basically what you will see, the sperm production will be seen. So this is one thing. And each seminiferous tubules is leaned on its inside by two types of cell. That is, again, they are being leaned by two types of cell. One is male germ cells, and another one is, sorry, Sertoli cells. Okay. So this main germ cells that I'm talking is also called as spermatogonia, male germ cells or spermatogonia. Okay. So if you are seeing, these are the compartments here, and they are the seminiferous tubules, and they are leaned by two types of cell. One is male germ cells and the Sertoli cells. The male germ cell is also called as sper spermatogonia. So this is all about the um, seminiferous tubules, that is testicular lobules. Now, this male germ cells or spermatogonia, right, that you are seeing, they normally undergoes, I'm talking about this now, this male germ cells, they normally undergoes the, what type of division will you see here? Mitosis or meiosis division. Meiotic division. So that means what happens? The male germ cells, they undergo this meiotic division, and later on, after meiotic division, finally it leads to the formation of sperms. Okay, this is one point. Now, another very important point is, while this Sertoli cells to hai na yahan par. So what is the main function of the Sertoli cells then? It gives, that is, this Sertolic cells, I'll take the same color. This Sertolic cells, it gives nutrient. That means it normally provides nutrient. Okay. So this Sertolic cells is going to provide the nutrient for this formation of sperm during the spermatogenesis formation, whatever the nutrients which is required for the mitotic development, division, and the development of the sperm, that is being provided by the Sertolic cells. Okay. So this all thing is provided to what? Germ cell. By whom? Sertoli cells. This is very important thing. Then the region which is outside the seminiferous tubules are actually called as interstitial cell. Okay. So outside the seminiferous tubules, whatever the region that you will find will be the interstitial cells, or it is also called as Leydig cells. Okay. So it is also called as what? Leydig cells. So how you will understand, I'll just go with another diagram. See, if you zoom if you actually zoom your testis that to the testicular lobules, so there you will find these things. Okay. So what I was talking about first I was talking about the spermatogonia, right? So here you see, then spermatozoa, it is the entire sperm formation. And again, they are leaned by this interstitial cell. And there is also the Sertoli cells. So what is the function of the Sertoli cells here? Sertoli cells are going to provide the nutrients to the germ cells. So these are the germ cells basically. So to the germ cells, these Sertoli cells are going to provide the nutrients. For what? For the sperm development. That is for the this thing. That is the male germ cell, where this is the male germ cell or spermatogonia. So this is clear now. Cool. So then I have also talked that, so as see the region outside this spermatogonia. So what happens, that is seminiferous tubules are present, right? Outside the seminiferous tubules, you will actually see what? You will see the interstitial interstitial cell. So that is interstitial cell will be seen. So which is actually present in the blood vessels. Okay. And also small blood vessels will also be seen there. And interstitial cells will also be seen there. So interstitial cell is also called as Leydig cells. Now, what is the function of this Leydig cells? So, Leydig cells' major function is synthesis and secretion. Synthesis and secretion of what? Secretion of testicular testicular hormones. Okay, so it normally responsible for the synthesis and secretion of the testicular hormones, which is called as androgens. So it is very important now. Okay, so you should remember what is androgens, because even in further future or like further classes also I'll be talking about this word. Okay, so what happens? This Leydig cells is responsible for the synthesis and secretion of the testicular hormones, which is called as androgens. So this is clear. So there will be other immunological components will also be present, okay, which is going to help them to fight against some of the pathogens, microorganisms, and all. So this is all about what? Yeah, so this is all about your male reproductive system, its parts, especially in the testis we are talking. So now this male sex accessory duct that includes, can I just go back? Yes. So this male reproductive accessory duct, what I'm talking. So this is the male reproductive system, right? See, the previous one, all the three diagrams which I have right now shown you, or the figures right now that you are seeing, are very important. Based on the figures also, they can or they will definitely ask one question, because every year, as if I have seen the question paper, every year one question is from the diagram based itself. Okay, so make sure that you don't miss any diagrams from this chapter. So now the male sex accessory duct, it normally have what? It has rate testis here. You can see the rate testis now. And you have vasa efferentia. Then you also have this epidermis is also present. Then vasa deferens is also there, right? So these are what very major important thing. So you also have this bulbourethral gland is present. and seminal vesicles, which I was talking about, is also there. Then urinary bladder is present, ureter is present. So you will learn one by one what are these functions, like what they do and all, and how this all things get travels. Everything you will learn. So this entire the system has been covered by the foreskin. So and this region is actually called as glans penis. So everything you will analyze, you will see here. See this thing, that is the seminiferous tubules that we are talking basically. These seminiferous tubules of the testis opens into this vasa efferens. Okay, so the seminiferous tubules which are present in the rate, these are the seminiferous tubules, right? So these seminiferous tubules which are present in the rate testis, okay, they get opens to where? Vasa efferentia. Vasa efferenta. So this is very important thing. So can you just know, see, if you know the diagram properly, from which from where the parts origin comes, from there you can actually make you can try to make your own sentence, and you'll also understand the concept very easily. So here what you can see is this testicular lobules, where these seminiferous tubules are actually present in the rate testici. So these get open to the vasa efferentia. Okay. So through how? Obviously through the rate testis. This is one thing. So now this vasa efferentia, it leaves the testis and opens into the, that means it is going to leave the testis. That is nothing but now from vasa efferentia, it will move to epidermis, okay, which is located outside, that is posterior surface, which is normally yeah. So which is normally located where? On the posterior surface. So this is another one thing. So leaves the testis and opens into the epidermis. So this is clear. Now what happens? This epidermis will again leads to the vasa deferens. So from here to here, from here to here, and it is moving here now. So now it leads to the vasa deferens. So after vasa deferens, so that assembles to the vesicles, and then it later on opens into the, where it is going to open? Ureter, okay, urethra, or so it normally opens to the ureter, and from the ureter or urinary urethra, sorry, not urethra, this is urethra, from the ureter, okay. So then this, yeah, just a minute. Yeah. So these duct, okay. So it later on goes to this, from here to vasa deferens, it is going to move and reaches to the urethra. So from the urethra, it actually acts as an ejaculatory duct. जहाँ पर normally these all things will be stored here. So they will be stored here, okay. So in this region, basically it will be stored. So after that, this is actually been locked by the bulbourethral gland. जहाँ पर it will not allow the sperms whatever which are being produced, they will not allow the semen uh, to move further. So urethra acts as an ejaculatory duct. So these duct basically it stores, and it is going to transport the sperms from the testis through to the outside, from the testis, where? Through the outside, okay, through what? Through this urethra. Okay, so this is another point. Now what happens? This urethra that I'm talking, right? So it is actually originated from where? It has been originated from the urinary bladder, and as well as extends from the urinary bladder, and where it normally extends till the uh, penis region. So this is the outer penis region. Till there it gets extended. And opening, though you can already see the opening, it is and the opening, okay, from which the sperms normally gets ejected is actually called as urethral nutus. So first what happens? These seminiferous, first thing is seminiferous tubules will be present. So they get open to the vasa efferitia through the rate testis. From the vasa efferitias to the, that means this production of the sperm, they moves to the epidermis. From the epidermis to, they normally move to the vasa deferens. From the vasa deferens through the urethra, and urethra is actually made up of like what? So it extends from the urinary bladder to the penis, and from where it normally goes, whatever the sperm production or the semen, right? It normally goes and comes out of this penis, right? So it is actually called as urethral meatus. So this is all about how the testis structure and what all it composed of. Then how the sperms are going to come out from this testis. Mm, right. So the next thing is I was been talking about the penis, right? That actually the end part. So in this penis, which is actually the male external genitalial part, right? So this is actually made up of a special tissue that actually helps, in the erection of this erection of the penis. That means basically what happens, there has to be a dry off force. So without force, even water will not come. So in the same way, the stored sperm, right, the stored semens, basically they should come out. So how they are going to come? When you start erecting it. So how it is being done? Erection of the penis is actually facilitated by the insemination. So insemination is a very technical word. मतलब आप generally क्या कर रहे हो? You are actually doing masturbation. Let us be very honest, क्योंकि हम लोग science students हैं. We are from the science background, and in future most of you will be doctors and most of you will be taking the science stream. So let us know exact words of these things. So when we normally do insemination or masturbation, so वहाँ पर what normally we do is we'll start applying force. So by the force itself, the semen which is stored, right, will come out. But now it is very important that the skin might get damaged. So the skin has to be smooth and all. So we have a specialized cells there, or specialized, the skin is actually made up of specialized cells. Okay. Which these specialized tissues or cells and tissues, which helps in the erection of the penis to facilitate this insemination process. So what happens? So when I'm talking about the penis, so basically it will be in a smaller size. Once when you start erecting, right, it becomes into a larger size. That means आपका जो penis basic size होता है, it gets starting developed. It gets bigger, 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 and this enlarged end of the penis is actually called as glans penis, that I have already shown you in the diagram. So this the end part, which is enlarged end part, is actually called as glans penis. So this is clear to you. So this is actually covered by what? It is actually covered by the foreskin, folded foreskin, that you can actually observe on the outer part, outer layer. It is covered by the foreskin. So the male accessory gland includes what all they includes? Seminal vesicles they includes. So this is the seminal vesicles that we are talking about. Then another thing it includes is prostate. It includes then it also includes another one point hai jo hai. Yeah, so here it is the prostate. I just rub them. So यहाँ पर है seminal vesicle, then we have the prostate, then we have bulbourethral gland. So these are the three things it constituents. Okay. Then secretion of these glands constituents what? Seminal plasm. So these three glands, they normally secretes what? Seminal plasm. They normally secretes what? seminal plasma. So which is actually rich in the fructose. Okay. So they are rich in the fructose. Then they are also rich in the calcium. Then there are some certain enzymes are also present. Okay. So whereas the secretion of this bulbourethral gland that also helps in the lubrication of the penis, so that the smoothening of the penis. Lubrication of penis is nothing but smoothening of the penis. So to get the smoothening of the penis, basically the bulbourethral glands play a very major role. So this is all about the male reproductive system. So जहाँ पर हम लोग we have concentrated more on what are testes and parts of male reproductive system, and in testes what are the parts are present and their specific function and the route from which these seminal semen gets through and it comes out. So in what ways it comes out and what are the individual roles, everything we have discussed in detail. All the things that consist in the female reproductive system. So in the female reproductive system, you will actually see a pair of where it is, yes, pair of ovaries along with the pair of oviduct. Then you will also see uterus. Then you will see the cervix. Then you will also see the vagina. Like I'll just show here. You'll actually see this ovary, right? So you have two ovaries here. So you will see a pair of ovary. Then you will see the oviduct will also be seen. Then you have cervix are there. Then uterine cavity is there. Uterine fundals are there, cervical canals are there, and vagina is there, right? So these are the things that you are going to see. And even you will also see the external genitalia, which are actually located in the pelvic region. So, yeah, these are the things that you are going to see in the female reproductive tract. So here you have seen the cervic canal. So cervix, vagina, and obviously you'll see the external genitalia, which is normally located in the pelvic region. So these are the things that you are going to, these are the, parts which you are going to see in the female reproductive system. So these parts actually constituents, like you have this along with the pair of with these all the parts with what another one major important thing that you have missed or I have missed is what is it? Mammary gland, right? So if you are talking about the female reproductive system, that means all these pairs or all these part with the constituting what the mammalian gland together constituents what the female reproductive system. So this thing you need to know. Okay, so they are the structural and functional to support the process of the ovulation, fertilization, pregnancy, then birth as well as the child care. For everything from fertilization to child care, these all pairs, together they constituent to form the female reproductive system. So this where thing you need to have this basic thing in your mind. So this when I'm talking about the ovary, yes. So here it is when I am talking about the ovary here, this is the ovary, right? So the ovary are actually the primary, organ, that is primary female sex organ that normally produce what ovary produces the female ovary. It is going to produce the female female gamete, which is called as ovum, and also it normally produce several steroid hormones. I'll say you what are those steroid hormones. So steroid hormones are nothing but ovarian hormones. Okay, ovarian hormones are present. So, and most important thing is the ovary is been actually located on each side of the abdominal cavity, like both the abdominal pelvic region. If you see the pelvic region, I mean lower abdominal cavity, you will see this ovary being located in both the region. Okay, so that is another one point. And each ovary is about each ovary is about 2 to 4 centimeter. So that is in length, 2 to 4 centimeter in length, and it is actually connected to where? So it is being connected to pelvic wall and uterus. Okay, so these ovary is being connected to this pelvic wall as well as the uterus. By what? By so yeah, it has been connected to the pelvic region as well as pelvic wall as well as the and by uterus by the ligaments. Okay, so by the ligaments it has been covered, that is it has been connected. This is another major important point. So each ovary is being covered by a thin epithelium. So here if I'm talking about the ovary only here, so covered by what? Thin epithelium. Okay, so it has been covered by thin epithelium, which normally encloses this ovarian stoma, which encloses ovarian stoma. So this is another important point. So these ovarian stoma, right? It later it gets divided into two zones. I mean, it is going to divide into two zones. So the first zone is peripheral cortex is the first zone, and the second zone is inner medulla. Okay, so the first zone will always be the peripheral cortex. Then the second zone will always be the inner medulla. So this is all about the female reproductive system, especially when I'm talking about the ovary. Then you will also find the ovarian follicle, which is called as fallopian tube. So if you are talking about the fallopian tube, is also called as oviduct. I will talk about the fallopian tube now. So till now I have spoken, like I have spoke about the ovary, and now I'm going to talk about the fallopian tube. Okay. So yes. When it is all about the fallopian tube, the oviduct, that is the fallopian tube, and another one is uterus. Then we have another one part that is called as vagina. Okay, this fallopian tube, that is oviduct. Then you have what? The uterus, as well as the last one you have is the vagina. So these three things, okay, the three part, they constituents the female accessory duct. So they three constituents what? Female accessory duct. So each fallopian tube, that when I'm talking about the each fallopian tube, that is the oviduct. So it is all about 10 to 12 centimeter long and extends from the, okay, so 12 to 12, 10 to 12 centimeter long, and it extends from the this thing, that is peri of each ovary. That means on each ovary it is going to extend. Okay, peri of this each ovary, it is going to extend. Yeah, extend from the periphery of the each ovary to where it is going to extend till the uterus. Okay, so till the uterus it is going to extend. Whatever you are seeing here, so it is actually a extension part. So till the uterus it is going to extend. That is all about the fallopian tube. Okay. So the part close to the ovary is actually to the ovary, which the part is very closer, is actually called as funnel shaped infundibulum is actually present. Okay, so this is somewhat funnel in shape, right? So this funnel shaped structure is actually called as infundibulum, and this finger like projection is actually called as fimbriae. And next to the infundibulum, you have the ampulla, and this region is called as isthmus. Coming to the infundibulum, so then you have, that's what the edge region is called as fimbriae, that is clear, which is finger-like projection. And this finger-like projection normally helps in the collection of the ovum from the ovary. Okay, so if this is the ovum, now ovum is going, whatever the collection of the ovum from the ovary, for that this fimbriae plays a very important role. Okay. Then the infundibulum, this infundibulum that I'm talking about, it leads to the wider part of the uh, wider part of the oviduct, which is actually called as ampulla. Yeah, here it is. So from the infundibulum, so you will see the ampulla. That is, it leads to the wider part of this oviduct, which is actually called as ampulla. Okay. So oviduct itself is a fallopian tube anyhow. So this is the wider part of this fallopian tube. So the last part will always be the isthmus. Okay, which is narrow tube-like structure, and this is going to join to where? Uterus, uterine cavity, then the uterus basically. Okay, so this is all about how the fallopian tube is. So first we have studied about the ovary, then we are actually we have been studying, or right now we have studied about the oviduct, which is nothing but the fallopian tube. So right, So uterus is actually a single, and it is also called as, now I'm talking about the uterus. Okay. So uterus is a single and it is also called as womb. Okay. So uterus is single and it is called as, or it is also called as womb. The shape of this uterus is like the, so can you just name any shape, what, in what shape, entirely of filling? It is inverted pear like structure. Okay, so it is like an inverted pear like structure, and it is actually being supported by the ligaments which are being attached to the pelvic wall. Then this uterus, it normally, from the uterus, it is open to the vagina. So the uterus is open to the vagina, okay, through a narrow cervix. That is, this is the cervix region. Through the narrow cervix region, from the cervical canal, like cervic region, cervical canal, it leads to the vagina. So the cavity of this, like you have a cavity. A cavity is nothing but a place, right? So that is called a cervical canal. Then the wall of these uterus, you can see the wall, right? It has actually a three layered of the tissue, is actually made up of the three layer of the tissues. And the external, like this thing, that is the external thin membrane, is actually the wall. Then what happens is the external thin membranous wall is called as perimetrium. Okay, and the middle you will see the thick layer. Middle, you will actually see a thick layer of smooth muscles. Okay, so that is actually called as myometrium. T, right, UM, myometrium. So another, the last part, that is external, middle, and the inner part now. Inner layer is called as, inner layer is actually called as endometrium. Okay, endometrium. That normally it is in the uterine cavity. So this cavity is actually like this one, that is the inner layer you will see, right? So they are actually the endometrium. So it is already shown in the diagram, like this layer picture also. So if this is the, sorry, uh, if this is the uterus, so here you can see, so the outer layer is actually called as perimetrium. Then the middle layer is myometrium. And the last, that is the inner layer, is endometrium. Clear? So this is all about the layer of the uterus. So and that made up of three layers. So this is all about other thing. So when I'm talking about endometrium, it actually, what is a circle? So this endometrium, it undergoes, this endometrium, it has some roles, basic roles. The questions could have even been asked by this endometrium itself. Because when you compare to other two, endometrium has more functions to do. For example, it actually undergoes, okay. So this endometrium, it undergoes a cyclical change, that is called as menstrual cycle. Okay. So during the menstrual cycle, MC is nothing but menstrual cycle. While the myometrium that I'm talking, that is the middle layer, it exhibit a strong, this is all about the endometrium. So coming to the myometrium, it normally exhibit a strong contraction when during the delivery of the baby. Okay, delivery of the baby. uh yes, of the baby, you will see this thing. So this is all about the now it is all about the uterus. So first thing what we have studied about the ovary, then we have studied about the fallopian tube, and now we have studied about the uterus. Clear? So these were some of the basic parts of the reproductive system, female reproductive system. Now again, coming to the like moving further, you have to concentrate on other things like their foldings and all. Okay. uh, yes. So where it is, um, yes. So the female external genital, this thing. So this were all about the internal. So when I'm talking about the female external genitalia, so it includes what all the things it includes: mons, pubis, then labia majora, then you will also see the labia minora, okay, and hymen as well as uh, clitoris, hymen as well as the clitoris region. Just a minute. I guess it is, you'll see them in this diagram, I guess. Yeah. So what all the things you will going to see? So first thing is, yeah, you will see the it includes the mons pubis, you will see. Then what else you are going to see? Labia, that is labia minora. So they have said, okay. So they have given labium minora here. Okay. So I guess you can say labia or labium. Yeah, they have given the labium minora, and also they have given the labia majora. Then they have also mentioned the hymer. Okay, they have not mentioned the hymer. So, and you will also see this thing, that is clitoris will also be seen. Okay, and this is cervix. This is the cervix region, anyhow, and there actually the rectum. You'll see the vagina here. Then, yeah, urethra region will be seen here. So this is all about the external genitalial, genitalial part of the female reproductive system. So here, what happens is the outer layer of the vagina. Okay, so the outer part, the very first outer part of the vagina. That means outer part of the female is actually called as mons pubis. So this mons pubis, it is fatty nature, fatty tissue. It has been covered by the fatty tissue skin, and also you will see the pubic hairs growth in that region. Okay. So later it has been followed to the labium majora. So in the labium majora, what you are going to see is you are actually going to see a fleshy fold of the tissue. Okay. So just you can see a somewhat fleshy fold of a tissue which extends down from the mons part, that is mons pubis part, and then it surrounded the vaginal opening. Okay, then you have the labium minora region. So in the labium minora region, so what happens, the pairs are actually folded here, this region. Okay, so this region, the pairs are actually uh, somewhat it is folded, and what it has been folded by a tissues. Okay, under the labium majora. So the opening of the vagina is often covered by particularly this membrane called as hymen membrane. Hymen membrane. So this is a membrane which normally covers the vagina. Okay. So then the second thing is this region, clitoris region. It is actually, as you can see, this clitoris region, it is somewhat finger-like structure. Okay, this clitoris region is finger-like structure which lies in the upper junction region. Okay, upper junction region. Then we have this hymer. Next to that will be the hymer region. So here hymer is often torn during the hymen region is somewhat like a covering region. Okay, so hymer is a region which is actually gets stored during the first uh, intercourse. Means what happens is during the intercourse, if a female or a woman, she undergoes a very first intercourse, the hymen region is actually covered that. So that is being told, okay, by the very first intercourse. That is all about the hymen region. So, however, it can also be broken suddenly by the fall, or suddenly by stretching also it can be broken. It doesn't mean that only after intercourse itself or during the intercourse itself the hymen region has to break. It's not like that. Sometimes it could be any medical issues also. Okay, so this is all about what do you say that? Yes. So sometimes, if a female is virgin or not, like a woman is virgin or not, that is also being, seen by the hymen, presence of the hymen. Like if hymen is not told and hymen is still there, that means that a girl is actually virgin. That is how normally the medical define. But sometimes the medical also says that we cannot take that because as I had told you before, that hymen region could also got broken down during some medical emergency, or else it could be because of the stretching part. Okay, or if a woman got fall down suddenly from a large height and all, so that time also this hymen region could be tore off. So yeah, touring of the hymen cannot well versely define that a girl is virgin or not. So that also should also be kept in the mind. So this is one of the thing where I have explained till this thing. So the last part of the female reproductive, system is the mammary gland. Yes. So coming to the mammary gland, one thing is you have to concentrate on diagrams also, labeling parts also, because one question every year they have not missed asking from the diagrams of this chapter, particular chapter. So make sure जहाँ पर भी diagrams है, जहाँ पर भी figures है, make sure that you are well versed with labeling also. So then coming to the mammary gland. So, and this is actually a section view of the mammary gland. So, yeah, the functional mammary gland is actually a characteristic of the female mammal, right? In the female mammal section, mammals, especially in the female, you will find the mammary gland. So, what is a mammary gland? So, every female will be having a pair of mammary gland. So, which we normally call them as breast, right? That contains, and what they all contains, breast. So that normally contains. So what do they contains? Glandular tissues. Okay. Then another one thing is, and variable amount of fat. Okay, so these are the things that it normally consists. And when I'm talking about this glandular tissues, it will be around 15 to 20. That means the breast glandular tissues have been divided into 15 to 20. mammary lobes. Okay, 15 to 20 mammary lobes, and they contains the cluster of cells, and those cells are called as alveoli. Other, so there, yeah. So 15 to 20 mammary 15 to 20 mammary lobes will be present, and the cells that is present are actually called as cluster of cells. These are the cells, right? So the cluster of cells, they're fat here, and this cluster of cells are actually called as alveoli. And mammary alveolus, so cells cluster are called as alveoli cells anyhow. So alveoli. So the cells of these alveoli, it is the one which normally secretes the milk, secretes the milk, okay? So which is stored in the cavity of the alveoli. So this is another thing, that is lumen is one of the cavity where this milk is being stored. So then this alveoli open into this mammary tubes, or so mammarial tubules, this region, and the tubules of each lobe, it normally joins to this mammary duct. So you have this mammary tube region. So this is the mammary tube region. So this tube region actually opens to the, each tube region opens to this mammary duct. So from mammary duct, okay, several mammary duct, they get joined together to form what? A wide mammalian ampulla. Okay, so then what happens, which is again connected to this lactiferous duct now. Okay, this ampulla is connected to the lactiferous duct. So through which the milk is being sucked out from the nipple. Okay, so this is all about the uh, female mammary gland, and it's what exactly the structure is, internal structure is. So this is all about the female reproductive system. Jahan par first thing what we have studied about the ovary and its structure. Then we have studied about the fallopian tube, or it is also called as oviducts, right? Yes, oviducts. Okay. Then we have also studied about this thing, that is uterus. And the last thing that we have studied was about the mammary gland. So this was all about the female reproductive system. So till now, what I really want you to do is once go through the textbook line by line. Make sure that you all are aware of the figures, their labeling parts. They're very important. And possible, try to solve more number of MCQs. Go through the previous questions, like in what way they have asked, on what basis they have asked. I really suggest you to have our NTA PYQ book, MEMONEET NTA PYQ book, because we have segregated all the questions from 2019 to 2025. Why I'm stressing this is from 2019, the NTA is taking care of it. So obviously syllabus got changed, and some of the chapters, topics got deleted. And I personally suggest you ki you don't want, there is no need of reading or going through such syllabus which are already deleted. Okay, you need to concentrate the present syllabus and the syllabus which have been newly added. So for that, I refer you to once again to prefer the NTA PYQ book. Make sure that you are aware of all the ways of questions that is being asked. Okay, and another thing, if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe, press the bell icon, and join our Telegram channel where you'll be very free to discuss whatever the doubts you have regarding biology. I'll be there personally to solve your doubts, and there are even many subject matter experts who will be there to you to solve your doubts at whatever the time you find them it is tricky and confused. Okay. So yeah, till that, stay tuned. Make sure that you revise, make sure that you watch the video lectures. And yes, in the next videos or in the next series, I'll be explaining you about the gametogenesis as well as the menstrual cycle in detail.